Once again, thanks for joining us on the morning call. Has Gambia just showcased its political maturity to Africa and the world? Adama Barrow, backed by an opposition coalition, won the presidential election last Friday with 45.5% of the vote against 36.6% for Yahya Jammeh, who has been in power for 22 years. Yahya Jammeh accepted defeat and congratulated his opponent. A big surprise for many who had earlier listened to Yahya Jammeh saying that he can rule for 1 billion years if God wills so, and also at a time when elections are highly contested in Africa. Some observers hold that the only choice Yahya Jammeh had was to respect the will of the people. Meanwhile, many people have called on him to ensure that peace reigns during the transition period. Some people are also raising their voices for Jammeh to be tried following numerous human rights allegations during his time in office.
Pour établir une commission vérité et réconciliation. Petit retour sur les déclarations.
Let's watch the statements made by Yahya Jammeh and Adama Barrow shortly after the results were announced.
I've always made it very clear that I will never rule this country without your mandate since we started elections. And I will never cheat or dispute the elections, because this is the most transparent, rig-proof elections in the whole world. I came on a Friday, 22nd of the month of July, 1994. Today, Friday, the 2nd of December, 2016, you Gambians have decided that I should take the back seat. You have voted for somebody to lead our country. This is our country, and I wish you all the best.
I'm not surprised at all. I think they interviewed me earlier when I told them power belongs to the people. So it's the people, it's not the president. Gambian people have given the decision, so we respect the decision. We said to the Gambian people, it's time for work. It's a new Gambia, new attitude, change and develop our country.
Well, outgoing President Yahya Jammeh's concession speech came as a surprise to the people of the country, as well as rights groups that have so far accused him of crushing all opponents by imprisoning or torturing them. Well, the election outcome in the country has sparked varied reactions from across the globe. In a statement, the United States hailed Jammeh's respect for the will of the Gambian people and congratulated Gambians for holding a peaceful and democratic presidential elections. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon sent his congratulations to Adama Barrow and commended Jammeh's message to the president-elect. Just to recall that hopes were not high for a peaceful transfer of power with the crackdown on opposition leaders months before the polls, the banning of international observers, or post-election demonstrations, and then the switching off of the internet. The president-elect is reported to have said he will stop plans for the Gambia to leave the International Criminal Court and ask to rejoin the Commonwealth immediately. He will also annul Jammeh's declaration of 2015 declaring Gambia an Islamic state. We are now joined by Sana Kamara, a Gambian journalist living in exile in Senegal. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Sana Kamara. What does this outcome mean for somebody like you who left the country because of Yahya Jammeh's regime?
My country is free once again after 22 years of struggling for freedom. But more importantly, particularly as a journalist, I've worked in my country for 14 years before I came to exile. I see a new beginning, a chance for us to go and make a fresh start. Fresh start in terms of press freedom, in terms of how independent journalism can help and push the development process forward, how we can all work together to bring back freedom to the people and to be able to consolidate the democracy that we've been fighting for the past 2 years. So it's been very interesting news to me, very big welcome to me. I can go back to my family, I miss my kids and my wife, I miss my home. I'm really excited about it.
Well, Mr. Kamara, what do you think contributed to Adama Barrow's victory?
I think, first of all, Barrow, the candidate who won, he is not, he is just the leader or the candidate of a larger struggle. If you can understand that there are 7 political parties that came together, plus an independent candidate to fight against Jammeh through the elections. Now, each of those political opposition candidates or parties have their own history of the struggles with Jammeh. Some went to prison, and others were prosecuted in the courts. Some went to exile. So it's a struggle that everybody worked together. Barrow is just the face of the struggle. It's everybody struggling for it. I am in exile here, but my wife and my in-laws, my family, they all vote against Jammeh because their husband is in exile. So the people are the driver of this change. It is not Barrow. Barrow is just the figure. It's just the face of the struggle. So the agenda they have in the next 3 years is to make sure they have to work very hard to satisfy the wishes of the people. Since that we've been fighting together for the past 20 years, they have to make sure that they provide this for the people. And that is why they call it a transition period. They have to rectify all the anomalies that have happened on the Jammeh. We have to institute 2 terms mandate for each president. We have to make sure that the electoral system is free and fair for everybody. We have to make sure that there is freedom of expression for everybody in the country. We have to make sure that there is a lot of equal opportunities for everybody in the country.
Well, a new president-elect in the Gambia and the population seems quite happy. But what is the fate? What do you think should be the fate of the outgoing President Yahya Jammeh?
I think he has to be accountable for the crimes that he has been committed under his government. It is up to the government, the new government coming in, to see what kind of concession they have with Jammeh. Whether they're going to allow him to stay in the country, but either way, he still has to be accountable. Because the past 20 years have been very tough for some people. Some families have lost their family heads. Some families have just scattered all over the world. Some children have been orphaned. So there are a lot of crimes that have been committed on the Jammeh, and somebody has to be answerable for those crimes. So it is now time for us, in order for us to move on, in order for Gambians to forget or to forgive all these things that have happened, somebody has to be accountable for it. If Jammeh has to stand trial, be it in the Gambia or outside the Gambia, it has to be a process that is definitely genuine, and it can be able to heal all the wounds that have been inflicted on the people for the past 20 years. It's not going to be an easy process, but we have to make sure that there has to be an accountability process that is very genuine and is reflecting the tears and the blood of the people that have been spilled for the past 20 years.
Voilà, c'était le journaliste.
That was Sana Kamara, a Gambian journalist on exile, talking to us from Senegal. Reactions are coming in from all corners in Africa, especially from Cameroon, where despite multipartism, the opposition finds it difficult winning the regime, which has been in power now for more than 3 decades. We are now joined by Barrister Charles Chungang, former head of Cameroon's Bar Council. Barrister Charles Chungang, thanks for joining us this morning on the morning call. What lessons can be learned from the defeat of Yahya Jammeh? It is a global wind blowing. We saw it with Donald Trump in the United States. This wind of change is the voice of the people who want to recover their sovereignty and their legitimacy. It's a very wonderful thing. What is happening in Gambia is going to happen everywhere, because the heads of state who change their constitution to remain in power must know that once it is time, the people who have suffered too much have nothing more to lose. Africans are tired about these leaders who want to remain in power. The leaders have forgotten that they were elected to implement policies to promote the amelioration of living conditions. They will have to either fail during elections or leave power so as to avoid being humiliated by the population who have nothing more to lose. Don't you think Yahya Jammeh has done so many things which could push him to jail, or of course a possible transfer to the ICC if the country goes back on its decision to withdraw?
De revenir sur sa décision de sortie de cette cour.
The new head of state should bring reconciliation. I don't think sending Yahya Jammeh to the ICC is a good thing for the country. The heads of state who are afraid to leave power often fear being punished by the president who comes to power. A period of transition should be opened in Africa to enable African dictators set up credible institutions.
Il faut que l'Afrique ouvre une période de transition pour permettre à tous ces dictateurs de quitter le pouvoir pour laisser.
I do not therefore think it is logical for Gambia's president-elect to initiate any proceedings against Yahya Jammeh.
À poursuivre son prédécesseur devant la CPI.
Voilà, c'était Maître Charles.
That was Barrister Charles Chungang, former chairman of Cameroon's Bar Association.
Du Cameroun.